Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha Television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are this evening's headlines. Election Commission officials prepare for 6th phase of polling in Uttar Pradesh. Hectic campaigning continues in Manipur as well, where the state goes to polls in the first phase on March 8th. 8 days to go for counting. Parties focus on final phase of elections in Uttar Pradesh. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Mayawati hold rallies in Mirzapur. Akhilesh Yadav addresses voters in Ghazipur. Civilian killed, CRPF Jawan injured in grenade attack by militants in Pulwama district of Jammu and Kashmir. Security forces put on alert. Manhunt launched for the militants. And US President Donald Trump hits out at Democrats over demands for the resignation of US Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Sessions alleged to have contacts with Russian officials during Trump's campaign. Well, let's now get you the latest from the ongoing assembly elections in Warwick 2017. Well, Manipur will have its first phase of elections tomorrow. It will see voting in 38 assembly constituencies in a house of 60. Almost 19 lakh voters are eligible to choose from among 168 candidates from the Congress, the BJP, the Left Democratic Front, the Naga People's Front and other smaller parties. Irom Sharmila's party Praja candidates are also trying their luck from 2 constituencies in this phase.
Voting for the first phase elections in Manipur will be held across 1643 polling booths, and because the sun sets early in the northeast, polling will begin at 7 a.m. and end at 3 p.m.
I was given a handbook of a book. Then we have a little training there. Then what we have instructed is that there should be 100% fair and fair election.
Okay. So how will you conduct that 100% fair?
Yeah, I will do that because I am the citizen of this country. It's my duty to perform this 100%.
A strong contingent of police and paramilitary forces has been deployed, with at least 5 Jawans stationed at each polling booth in addition to 2 police constables. The Jawan have special instructions to deal with disturbances in the view of threats issued by some underground groups.
जो इनका प्रोटेक्शन करना है, ईवीएम को प्रोटेक्शन करना है, ये है सरकार का जो हमको जो दिया है उसको निभाना हमारा कर्तव्य है बस.
अच्छा, तो आप लोग बूथ के अंदर रहेंगे?
हाँ, बूथ के अंदर जो है हमको जो इंस्ट्रक्शन मिला है उसका हम ये करेंगे.
The state administration is relying on computer software to deploy and control vehicles as well as to redress and facilitate the complaints. These softwares, Samadhan, Suvidha and Sugam, will be handled from inside the election office premises. They can also be downloaded from Google Apps. A special toll-free number 1950 has been circulated for election-related queries.
यहाँ पे बुलाया गया यहाँ पे व्हीकल मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम के लिए सुगम जिसका नाम है. एक्चुअली इलेक्शन के दौरान व्हीकल को मैनेज करने में बड़ी मुश्किल होती है, उन्हें फ्यूल देने में मुश्किल होती है और कहीं ना कहीं इसका रिलेशन भ्रष्टाचार से भी है कहीं ना कहीं. तो जब आप इसे ऑनलाइन करते हो, हर चीज़ हमें पता है कि हमने किस पर्टिकुलर डेट को व्हीकल को रिक्विजिशन किया, किस डेट को रिपोर्ट किया, उसके ड्राइवर का नाम क्या है, और हम जब पेमेंट भी ऑनलाइन करते हैं तो इसकी गुंजाइश न के बराबर हो जाती है.
I'm now looking after 1950, the helpline number for election department.
So what will you do with this line?
Like we receive any kind of calls regarding the election, like complaints, any queries, any suggestions. So we give them inputs about that.
Okay. In Manipuri and English or whatever?
Whatever language they ask, like in Manipuri, English, Hindi, everything.
Most of the seats in the first phase falls in the plains where majority community Meiteis live. Issues of development, employment and economic blockade by United Naga Council are the major issues here.
So Election Commission in Manipur has made all possible arrangements so that violence and disturbance-free election can take place. Now it is incumbent upon the voters. They come in large number on polling booths and vote for their choice of MLAs and the new government. It is important for Manipur and its development. Akhilesh Soman for Rajya Sabha Television with camera person Prashanto in Imphal.
Well, 49 assembly seats in 7 districts of Uttar Pradesh will go to polls in the 6th phase on Saturday. Several heavyweights are in the fray in this phase. It will test the political influence of Union Minister Kalraj Mishra, Mahant Adityanath of Gorakhpur and Samajwadi Party patriarch Mulayam Singh Yadav.
With the end of an electrifying election campaign, 7 districts of Uttar Pradesh are geared up to decide the fate of 635 candidates on Saturday. The districts that will go to polls in this phase are Maharajganj, Kushinagar, Gorakhpur, Deoria, Azamgarh, Mau and Balia. The focus will be on Samajwadi patriarch Mulayam Singh Yadav's Lok Sabha constituency Azamgarh and the Lok Sabha constituency of BJP's firebrand leader Yogi Adityanath in Gorakhpur. Around 1.72 crore voters, including 94.6 lakh men and 77.84 lakh women, are eligible to vote in this phase. There will be 17,926 polling booths in this phase. The highest number of candidates, 23, are in the fray in Gorakhpur and the lowest of 7 candidates are in Mohammadabad Gohna seat in Mau district. Extensive security arrangements are in place and companies of paramilitary forces and police have been deployed to ensure peaceful polling.
सुरक्षा के पूरे इंतजाम हम लोगों ने किए हैं। सभी बूथ हमारे सुरक्षित हैं और सभी लोगों के लिए लगातार फोर्स ने हमारा मार्च भी किया है। हम लोगों ने एरिया डोमिनेशन भी किया है अपने केंद्रीय बल के साथ।
Key candidates to look out for in the 6th phase are BSP turncoat Swami Prasad Maurya from Bhadrauna, former BJP State President Surya Pratap Shahi from Prathardeva, SP turncoats Ambika Chaudhary and Narad Rai contesting on BSP ticket from Fefna and Balia Sadar respectively. Another interesting fight would be in the district of Mau, where the BSP has fielded jailed gangster turned MLA Mukhtar Ansari from the Mau assembly seat. In the 2012 assembly polls, of the 49 seats in these districts, 27 were won by the Samajwadi Party, 9 by BSP, 7 by BJP, 4 by Congress and 2 by others.
This belt of eastern Uttar Pradesh is considered to be economically backward, but voters here are considered to be politically aware. All the political parties have tried hard to maximize their influence. While the alliance would try to defend its turf, the BJP and the BSP would endeavour hard to establish their dominance. But large-scale rebellion within all political parties may upset their electoral arithmetic. Reporting from Gorakhpur, with camera person Arvind, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
Join me for a chat right now. Live from Gorakhpur is our correspondent Kriti Mishra. Well, Kriti, as far as Gorakhpur is concerned, what are the issues really that are dominating electioneering this time around?
Remember, it is considered to be undisputed fiefdom of five-time BJP MP Yogi Adityanath. He exercises maximum influence here and voters may get swayed by him. But there are several other issues specifically in Gorakhpur, Frank, because all the political parties have actually harped upon the caste, class and mobilization of religion. You know, they've actually engineered their election campaign around these lines. But there are several pertinent issues which political parties haven't addressed. Specifically from Gorakhpur, remember, Japanese encephalitis, that's a big bane for this particular region. More than 4,000 children have died in last couple of years. This region also braves floods every year. More than 5,000 villages, they have to people have to get displaced. There's large-scale exodus, and even in fact, this region is also known. Once upon a time, it was known as the sugar bowl of Eastern Uttar Pradesh. But most of the sugar mills have closed down now. Out of 31 sugar mills in the Purvanchal region, 21 have closed down. So definitely farmers are in distress. So there are a lot of issues, but that is the irony, Frank, that all the political parties in the cacophony to woo voters have actually harped upon the issues of caste and not the real issues of Gorakhpur and this adjoining area of Purvanchal. Frank?
All right, Kriti Mishra, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us there with those details. Now, with the focus for Uttar Pradesh shifting to some of the other rallies, of course, or some of the other regions, the BSP, the BJP and the Samajwadi Party, of course, addressed several rallies for the 7th phase of campaigning, which will be held next week. Let's take a look at how the campaigning took place for the 7th phase of polling in Uttar Pradesh.
With 8 days to go for counting, political parties are focused on the 7th and final phase of the elections in Uttar Pradesh. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a rally in Mirzapur. where he took on Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav over his government's unfulfilled promises in the state. Modi said the party had failed to build even a bridge that it had promised in Mirzapur.
हर छोटे मोटे नागरिक का इंटरव्यू देख लीजिए, हर कोई कह रहा है उत्तर प्रदेश का ये चुनाव एक उत्सव है, उत्सव, और ये उत्सव है सपा बसपा कांग्रेस की मुक्ति का अवसर है, छुट्टी का अवसर है भाइयों.
Shortly after Modi's address, BSP chief Mayawati also addressed a rally in the place. Targeting the Prime Minister, Mayawati alleged that Modi actually belonged to the upper caste but assumed an OBC identity to exploit election benefits. The BSP leader also called the BJP both anti-Dalit and anti-minority at a rally in Jaunpur.
यदि चुनाव में किन्हीं कारणवश बीजेपी प्रदेश की सत्ता में आसीन हो जाती है तो तब फिर ये पार्टी व इनकी केंद्र की सरकार अपने आरएसएस के एजेंडे के मुताबिक ही चलकर यहाँ मौका पाते ही या तो आपके पूरे आरक्षण को खत्म कर देगी या फिर इसे पूरे तौर से प्रभावहीन ही बना देगी.
Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav meanwhile addressed a rally in Ghazipur, where he challenged Modi for a debate on development. The SP president also highlighted the developmental schemes of his government. Assembly constituencies in the 7th phase will go to polls on March 8th. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, once known as the sugar bowl of the region, Kushinagar and Deoria have lost their sweetness for sugarcane farmers. Many sugar mills have either shut down or sold out. Sugarcane farmers are compelled to move to other crops instead. Elections may come and go, but this key poll issue has stayed alive with no visible respite.
It's a catch-22 situation for Surendra Singh, one of the millions of sugarcane farmers in the eastern district of Kushinagar in Uttar Pradesh. His family has grown sugarcane for generations. But for the few last years, with the sugar prices falling by over 40% and sugar mills in the region closing down, he has turned to wheat instead. Just like him, other sugarcane farmers are also compelled to move to other crops.
हम लोग धान, गेहूं, आलू, तोरी ये सब फसलें बोते थे और उसी से गन्ने से मोह हम लोगों का भंग हो गया. उसके बाद अब जा कर के थोड़ा गन्ने से अब प्रॉफिट होने लगा है.
Kushinagar was once known for its sugarcane, with the sugar mills here established before independence. However, the mills of Lakshmiganj, Tauni, Ramkola Khetan, Kuthkuya and Padrona have shut down due to unpaid dues. The shutdown led to large-scale unemployment, adding to the woes of sugarcane farmers. Today, the cane farmers of Kushinagar take their produce only to a privately run sugar mills.
काश्तकार गन्ना इतना बोते थे कि सब मिलों पर भीड़ और जाम लग जाता था, लेकिन आज तक 96-97 के समय की गन्ना पर्चियां वैसे की वैसी मिल मालिक लेकर के डूब गए और काश्तकार उस पैसे के लिए तमाम कोशिशें की लेकिन मिला नहीं.
In the past, the Samajwadi Party and the BJP have both promised to reopen the sugar mills if voted to power. However, the promise remains unfulfilled.
बंद पड़ी चीनी मिलों के लिए अगली सरकार के लिए चुनौती है कि इन मिलों को जल्द से जल्द जो है चालू करवा करके गन्ना किसानों की समस्याओं को दूर करें तथा साथ ही उनको अनुदान भी दें ताकि ये दूसरी फसलों की तरफ अपना मुख न मोड़ें.
Sugarcane is a cash crop and there are over 1 lakh families engaged in cane farming in Kushinagar. Farmers now demand that more government-sponsored sugar mills be opened in the floundering sugar bowl of Kushinagar. The district has 7 assembly seats that go to polls on March 4th.
Political parties have resorted to religious, caste and community mobilizations in the Uttar Pradesh elections. But real issues like woes of sugarcane farmers and farmers' distress that dominate this particular region of eastern Uttar Pradesh have been pushed to the back burner. Both the central government and the state government have to work in tandem to address the real issues like closure of sugar mills and also delay in payments. Reporting from Kushinagar with camera person Arvind, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Optical fiber today is our major activity. We have developed an equivalent Indian clay. We export 40% of our production in this country of these tiles, and there is no imported component today in that tile. The savings estimated is around 2,100 crores per year, that too in foreign exchange.
Watch Eureka with Dr. K. Muralidharan, Director, CSIR, Central Glass and Ceramic Research Institute, only on Rajya Sabha Television.
It's election time again. Voters in 5 states gear up to cast their votes. Catch all the action in Verdict 2017, Monday to Friday on Rajya Sabha Television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. When in a fresh round of political violence in Kerala, a CPM youth activist was attacked with sharp weapons in Palakkad on Thursday. The victim, 30-year-old Ratish, has named 3 BJP activists in his complaint to the police. The incident followed 2 BJP workers getting hurt when a crude bomb was thrown at the party's office in Kozhikode. Moments later, a CPM office was set on fire in the same area. The incidents come close on the heels of an RSS member in Madhya Pradesh announcing a bounty of 1 crore rupees on Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, holding him responsible for the killing of workers in the state. The RSS later disowned the comments and even issued a strong condemnation. These clashes are nothing new in Kerala, with a series of clashes between the RSS and the ruling CPM in recent months. The CPM says talks are the way out, and the state government has invited the RSS for a meeting.
We have appealed to the RSS. The Chief Minister has called them for meetings. 2 meetings were held, but this spree of violence is not stopping. We want to stop it, but the RSS has to respond. It's up to them. But this, once you start the cycle of violence, this will only spiral. That everybody knows. So this has to be stopped.
Well, the Supreme Court today sought responses from the Centre and Medical Council of India after a petition filed in the top court suggested making Urdu as a medium of national eligibility come entrance test or NEET. The plea by Student Islamic Organization argues Urdu, which is the 6th most spoken language in the country, is excluded in NEET, while the test is conducted in Gujarati and Assamese, which are 7th and 12th most spoken languages in the country. The next date of hearing is fixed for March 10th. A civilian was killed and a CRPF Jawan was injured in a grenade attack by militants in Pulwama district of Jammu and Kashmir. The grenade was hurled at the security forces deployed at Murran Chowk, 31 kilometers from capital Srinagar. Security forces have been put on an alert and a manhunt has been launched for the militants. The opposition Congress staged a walkout from the Kerala Assembly today, alleging leak of the state budget document on social media even before being presented in the House. The Congress also alleged that the papers were leaked from Finance Minister Thomas Isaac's office. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has assured to look into the matter. BSF Jawan Tej Bahadur Yadav, who triggered a controversy alleging poor quality of food served to the armed forces, has posted another video. In his new video, Yadav has claimed that he is being targeted by the forces for exposing corruption within the armed forces. He has requested Prime Minister Narendra Modi to intervene. An army Jawan who was part of a sting operation criticizing the army's Sahayak or buddy system was found dead in Deolali cantonment in Maharashtra on Thursday. 33-year-old Roy Matthew, who was missing since Saturday, was found in an abandoned barrack. Matthew had appeared in a sting operation featuring army Jawans doing menial jobs for higher rank officers. The army has ordered an inquiry. Moving on to some international news now. US President Donald Trump on Thursday lashed out at Democrats over their demands for the resignation of US Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Trump called their action a total witch hunt after Sessions quit from an FBI inquiry into alleged Russian meddling in the 2016 US election. The controversy was triggered by reports that he had contacts with Russian officials while being involved with President Donald Trump's campaign. But Sessions, who was a long-time US Senator before becoming the country's top law enforcement official, said he did nothing wrong by not disclosing during Senate testimony that he met Russia's ambassador last year. He said the meetings were in his capacity as senator and not as a campaign aide. It has emerged that Sessions and Russia's ambassador to the US, Sergei Kislyak, held a private conversation in September and spoke earlier in the summer at a meeting with several other ambassadors. Democrats are, however, demanding Sessions' resignation after it emerged he met Moscow's envoy last year.
I did share with White House counsel on my staff has that I intend to recuse myself this afternoon. But I feel like, because they don't know the rules. Most people don't. But when you evaluate the rules, I feel like that I should not be involved in investigating a campaign I had a role in.
Well, here's a roundup of the other international news in Global Buzz. Malaysia tightened security checks at all border crossings to prevent North Koreans linked to the murder of Kim Jong-nam, the estranged half-brother to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, from escaping. 2 women, an Indonesian and a Vietnamese, were charged with murder, but police is looking for others involved in the operation. Police believes that at least 2 of the suspects are still in Malaysia. The other 4 suspects are believed to have left the country on the day of the murder. A new Chinese cruise ship embarked on its maiden voyage to the disputed Paracel Islands in the South China Sea. The Changi Princess sailed from Sanya on the southern Chinese island province of Hainan on Thursday afternoon with 308 passengers on a 4-day voyage. This is the latest effort by Beijing to bolster its claims in the strategic waterway. A high school in Germany's western Wuppertal city has banned Muslim students from praying within the premises. A circular was issued to teachers at the Gymnasium Johannes Rau School, asking them to identify names and report any cases of Muslim students praying in the school to management. Moving on to some sports news now. Ahead of the second test match against Australia in Bengaluru, Indian captain Virat Kohli has said that his team will never repeat the kind of bad performance and lack of intent that led to the humiliating loss in the Pune test.
Last game was a disappointment in the way we played. It wasn't more of the result. We've lost before, but we've lost, fighting hard. But when you don't have enough intent during the game and you lose the game, that's when it hurts you. So I think that's all that we made of it. The comments or the headlines don't matter to us. They never have, and we don't base our cricket on that. So.
The Indians were hammered by 333 runs in the first test inside 3 days in a stunning defeat which ended their 19-match unbeaten streak. Kohli admitted that it was a rare collective failure for the Indians. However, the Indian captain is keeping his team combination for the Bengaluru Test a secret, even as he promised surprises. Australia, on the other hand, named an unchanged squad for the second test, with skipper Steve Smith stressing on the need to post a big first innings total. This, he said, would strengthen the team's position in the 4-match series. Steve Smith's men were labelled the weakest Australian team ever to tour India before the series, but managed to surprise naysayers with a thoroughly commendable all-round performance in Pune.
We know that India are going to come back hard at us, there's no doubt about that. They play very well here at home, but I know from our point of view we can take a lot away from the way we played last week. You know, there were some very tough conditions, and the way the boys adapted to those conditions was spot on. So, you know, we're going to have to start again and start well from ball one here.
Here's a roundup of the other sports news in Sports Beat. World number 2 Novak Djokovic was stunned by Australian 6th seed Nick Kyrgios in the quarterfinals of the Acapulco International on Thursday. The top-seeded Djokovic, who was playing only his second tour match since his record second-round exit at the Australian Open in January, lost to the 21-year-old Kyrgios in straight sets 7-6, 7-5. Meanwhile, second seed Rafael Nadal beat qualifier Yoshihito Nishioka of Japan in straight sets to advance to the semi-finals of the Acapulco International Tournament. Nadal beat the 21-year-old 7-6, 6-3 and will face third-seeded Marin Cilic in a semi-final match. Russian Evgeny Donskoy's dream run at the Dubai International ended on Thursday after he lost to Lucas Pauli of France in the quarterfinal. Donskoy, who lost in straight sets, had beaten Roger Federer on Wednesday. Atletico Madrid striker Fernando Torres was discharged from hospital today after suffering a head injury during a 1-1 draw at Deportivo La Coruña in the La Liga on Thursday. Torres was knocked unconscious in the 85th minute after challenging for the ball with Alex Bergantinos and was carried off a stretcher from the field. And finally, I'm going to leave you with a video of the moment a panda cub struggles to free herself from her mother. Enjoy the visual. See you again next time.